CDs killed cassettes. I mean, I'm an 80s kid. I never grew up with vinyl. My parents just weren't into music. They would just listen to the radio. So I never really got into vinyl, born in 76. So I was a cassette kid. But the minute a CD came out, it was like, oh my goodness. And that's what started to kill off cassettes. It's, they don't sound better than a vinyl or a CD. It's the nostalgia. It's the putting the tape in. It's the hit and play. I mean, it's reliving our childhood is why people want a cassette deck again. And they have hundreds of tapes from the 80s. So here at Bring Back Analog, we get a lot of requests for cassette decks. And, we've tried to repair them, and you can repair a lot of them, but they take a lot of time. It has probably 15 to 20 times more moving parts and pieces, gears and belts than a turntable. So they're hard to repair. I know all you out on the internet are going to tell me, yes, no, I do this all the time, or they're easy to repair. You're wrong. They're a pain in the rear to repair, especially when you're running a business. If you're a DIY person, cassette decks, yeah, that makes sense. You can spend 30 hours repairing a cassette deck, but for here in a business, it doesn't make sense for me to pay somebody to spend 30 hours. But we get a lot of requests for cassette decks, and funny thing is, we must not be the only one because TEAC has now put out a brand new double cassette deck. This is a W-1200. It is a double cassette deck, record capability on both decks. We all remember this back in the 80s, hit and record, play. I got to find the pause button here. Pause. Tuning a radio station to the perfect dial just to get it perfect, waiting for that perfect song to come on. When it does, we'd unpause it. That's how we got our free music in the 80s. And then, of course, your mom would start the microwave or the furnace would kick on, you'd lose your signal, and you'd be like, oh, dang it, you have to start all over. But cassette decks are back. For all you audiophiles that think it's like nails on a chalkboard, that may be, but there's something nostalgic about this little thing. Mixtapes. I mean, how many people in the 80s didn't make a mixtape for their girlfriends? I loved every bit of it. There's just a nostalgic part of putting this in and hit play. And so now we carry brand new cassette decks. TEAC did it well. They come in black. They come in silver. We are additionally at Bring Back Analog adding walnut cheeks for an upcharge of about $100. So you can actually have one that'll match, this Pioneer system here. You'd actually be able to add walnut cheeks or any type of wood finish you want. So you could get that vintage look still with a modern cassette deck. This also does come with a remote, and the thing does sound good for a cassette deck. So this one's a double. This TEAC is a double cassette deck. Most cassette decks in the 80s were doubles. So you would borrow a friend's tape, put it in one of the decks, hit play, then you record to the other one. It was our version of piracy back then, so we didn't have to pay for music. And you can still do that with this deck. This one's unique because it used to be it'd only go from A to B. So you play here, record on this one. Now with this newer deck, you can go either or. You can record from here to here. Not something a lot of people want to do. You lose a ton of fidelity. I mean, a lot of people think cassette sounds horrible already. So when you go from cassette to cassette, it's even going to sound even worse. You're going to get more of that tape hiss. It's just not going to sound great. But if it's a recording, a lot of people, somebody was in here last week and they had a bunch of bootleg Grateful Dead concerts that they recorded with like a Sony Walkman. And he just wanted to retape it. So he wanted to move from tape to tape. So this would be something you could do. Yeah, this also has a mic input. I'll be honest, I've never used a mic input in my life. I'm sure there's people out there that have. It has a timer. I never use that. There's people that would use the timer to record a certain radio station at a certain time. This basically has all the main features that a high-end 80s cassette deck had.